Zane A. In 2017, there was over $4.9 million spent on sports gambling in the state of Nevada alone. Everyone in this room has heard of someone winning life-changing money from gambling. Legalization of sports gambling creates problems for middle-class Americans such as addiction and financial hardship and requires careful regulation to protect consumers. First, I will talk about the history and the growing legalization of sports betting. Second, I will talk about the social and economic implications sports betting can have. And finally, I will talk about what the future of sports betting may look like. In 1992, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act outlawed sports betting across the United States, except for 4 states. However, in 2018, this bill was overturned and changed to a state-by-state ruling, as it was ruled as a violation of the 10th Amendment. FanDuel, DraftKings, and MGM Resorts were companies that used fantasy sports as a loophole to continue sports betting before 2018. Fantasy sports were not considered to be illegal because you bet on an individual player's performance rather than a team's performance. According to David M. Houghton, who is an assistant professor of marketing at Xavier with a PhD in business administration, published by the American Marketing Association in 2019, stated that in 2017, there was a combined total of 14 million users on FanDuel and DraftKings. Now that we understand the background and the history of sports betting, we'll talk about some possible implications. With sports betting becoming more popular, it is raising concern that we are normalizing a gambling behavior for younger generations. With encouragement of younger generations towards gambling, we are pushing people with not as much money to spend it on gambling, which can cause possible social and economic implications, such as when you go out with friends, you might not have as much money to spend, and that can cause social problems for you, and it also can cause problems for the economy, as people will not have as much money to spend towards local businesses. Consequences of sports gambling can be addiction and financial hardship for middle-class Americans. In a study done of college students, 3 out of 4 students have done some form of gambling, and a survey of students showed that motivation for gambling, economic motivation, entertainment, and excitement accounted for 70% of the reasons why people did that. And that is according to David M. Houghton, who is an assistant professor of marketing at Xavier with a PhD in business administration, published by the American Marketing Association in 2019. Now that we understand possible implications, we will talk about what the future of sports betting may look like. Professional sports leagues and teams view sports betting as a way to increase fan engagement and a way to earn money through ticket sales, jersey sales, and team merchandise. The XFL, which is a professional football league, started incorporating live betting odds on their scoreboard throughout their game. According to Zimu Zhu, who is a lecturer in entrepreneurship at the Bettany Center for Entrepreneurship with a PhD in philosophy, published by the Journal of Business Research in 2021, the XFL was the first professional sports league to incorporate this into their live TV broadcast. First, I talked about the history of sports betting and the growing legalization. Second, I talked about possible social and economic implications that sports betting can have on society. And finally, I talked about what the future of sports betting may look like and how the XFL is integrating live betting odds onto their scoreboard. Legalization of sports betting can cause problems for middle-class Americans, such as addiction and financial hardship, and it requires strict regulation to protect consumers. With the growing number of sports bettors, an increase in money being spent on sports betting, and more professional sports leagues partnering with companies such as DraftKings, FanDuel, and MGM Resorts, it is essential for us to regulate and monitor to protect consumers and prevent any negative impact.